quick and just make a couple of announcements, and then we'll get to the guest speaker. I didn't really even ask for your accolades, so you can share that. We have more of a personal relationship than like a Beachbody relationship anyway, even though we met through Beachbody. So announcements. I posted a video about, about Summit, and quickly, for you, if you want, refer back to the video, but all I said was what I feel is the very, very most important part of being at Summit is the time that you get to spend with your team. So Kevin and I have put together a happy hour for us on the Thursday night from 5:30 to 7:30. And I think a lot of people have been invited, but still not a lot of people have confirmed that they're going. So if you're going, make sure that you just click going, and then make sure that you talk to your team about it and share with them that really is such an important part of it. Because I know there's a workout from 5 to 5:45, but personally, if it were me, knowing what I know, because I've been a couple of times, I would recommend going to that workout, if that's your workout, and getting out of there as quickly as possible, not hanging out around afterwards, and not going home and taking a shower, but just coming all stinky and sweaty to the happy hour so that you can have time to spend with the team, and then go to the opening general session after. Because last year, that was my highlight of Summit, was the time that we spent with our team, because we all see each other on the internet. We don't get to see each other face to face, and that time is priceless. And it's only going to be for 2 hours, and to be honest, it's probably going to be the only time that we will all be together. So I highly recommend that you encourage your team to go and that you attend yourself. The other announcement that I made was we're doing a country heat test group, and I created an event for that, and it's going to be, I'm starting on August 8th, I think. I'll start the pre-week on August 8th, so the official challenge will kick off on the 15th. I created an event for that, and I posted it in Team Aloha and all the other groups, the Diamond group and the Limitless group, and you can invite to that event. You don't need to create your own event. And what we can do is we can all be posting in the event to build excitement before the launch of it. So we can post little live videos. We can post pictures of the before and afters of Country Heat Test Group, which I made a folder of it. And we can all, kind of just get that event fired up, and we can all invite all of our people. But then each person can run their own individual challenge group. I don't think that it will be beneficial for all of us to run it together. I think it's better if we run them separately, but we can use that event to build momentum and excitement about the program before its launch. So I posted a link to it in Aloha and all the other coach groups. That's pretty much all the announcements that I had. And so let me get to Kevin, who's our guest speaker. And for those of you maybe who don't know who Kevin is, my sponsor who recruited me into the business, shortly after she recruited me into the business, got pregnant with her first child, and she already worked full-time as a massage therapist. So once that happened, her focus switched from Beachbody coaching to doing her full-time job and becoming a mother, and she never really came back to being a coach. So for a while, I was kind of left to figure out the system on my own until I met Kevin, which was about 1 year into being a coach. I went to Coach Summit, and I went to a lunch with Kevin. And the reason I was introduced to him was because, my upline sponsor, Pablo and Fernando, weren't really actively working the business. So Kevin and Milan were the first, upline above me that was actually engaged in the business and were, sponsoring people and actively training and teaching. So we got introduced, and for me, Kevin has become more like family. It's a lot of our conversations are more, advice, what should I do here, and very friendly. And he's always willing to help out our team and willing to help me out and willing to get on the phone with me if I ever need him. And he's really showed me through his example what it's like to be, to have that personal relationship with your coaches and not just have it be about the business, because, whether Beachbody or not, we would still be in touch because we're like family. So Kevin is amazing, and he's always super motivational, and he's going to talk to us today about using Coach Summit to build momentum in your business, and also the use of other live events such as Super Saturday. So thank you, Kevin, for being on the call. Take it away.
Thank you, Grasshopper. Hi, guys. It is a pleasure to be able to spend some time with you. I won't take a lot of your time because I know how busy you are, but thanks to Marissa for this invitation. I have been involved in this profession that we call network marketing now since I was 21 years old. I'm now 55. So my entire adult life, except for 2 years, I was about 10 years into my network marketing experience, and I thought, I wonder what a real corporate job looks like. So I left the network marketing space, went into the corporate America, within 6 months realized that, oh, this is what real corporate America looks like. I didn't like it. So I transitioned back into network marketing. So 55 minus 21 is what, 34? Less 2. So 32 years of my life I've been somehow involved in network marketing. Now, I absolutely love this profession. I love what it means to the individual, and I love what it means to the individual's ability to have significance in society, to be able to step into a space like the Beachbody space and have the ability to impact humanity for generations. And one of the things that I really love about Beachbody is that we're impacting humanity in an area that is in desperate need of impact. And I love the fact that we're telling the truth about what that means. Carl and I sometimes have a few arm wrestles relative to a few things, but one thing that he and I both agree upon 100% is the fact that gimmicks don't work, that fitness is hard work, as is building a financial future hard work. Very few people strike it rich in Vegas or winning a lottery, and a few more people strike it rich because they're born into a family where somebody did a lot of hard work at some point in time, generations before them, that has impacted their life to the point that it is now. But for most of us on this call, we're probably the ones doing the work that will benefit the generations beyond us. And we're having the opportunity to do the work in an area that is in desperate need of our messaging. So I'm excited about that. And I'm excited that we have a chance today to talk about how we can take the momentum that comes from an event like Summit, a big event like Summit, or the excitement, let me put it that way, the excitement that comes from a big event like Summit, and turn it into momentum within our team. But a few things to think about relative to events, okay? They're an important part of team culture. If you want your business to grow, in the words of Eric Worre, every person in your genealogy that participates in a big event like Summit, you can expect that in the next 12 months, that person will contribute an extra $1,000 to your income. So if you've got a couple of people going to Summit that are in your genealogy, you can expect in the next 12 months, you're going to see at least a $2,000 boost in your income. If you've got 10, you can expect it's going to be something like 10. Those numbers have been tested for 30 plus years now, so they're a pretty solid reflection of what a big event can do for your business relative to income. What I like about events is, for the newbie, events show the bigger picture. And I know Stephanie's on the call tonight. I'm not going to ask her to validate this. I'm just going to guess that Stephanie came away from the Cancun Success Club trip with a bigger vision as to what's possible in the Beachbody business. And I knew that because I could see it in her eyes the first time I met her. She couldn't wait for the darn event to get over so she could go home and go to work. And what has it meant to her business over the last couple years now? Okay, so big events help newbies see the bigger picture. Big events like Summit help those of us who've been in the trenches for a while, who might be a little bit weather beaten and torn and a little bit tired at times because we are working hard. This is not a cakewalk, but nothing in life that's really worth anything is a cakewalk. It's an opportunity for us to recharge our batteries. And one of the great things that I like about big events is if we're far enough out in front of a big event, we can use events as a destination incentive. meaning 90 days out, we might say, hey, we're going to start this little team contest. And at Summit, the top 3 or everyone who does this gets this. So we can use events as a destination incentive. We can also use events as a jumping off point for new incentives. And I'm going to wager that for most people, that's how big events are utilized. People go to an event, they come away from a summit event like this, and they're absolutely, I love the way Stephanie used the explosion signal with her hands, their brains just explode with excitement because they see the possibility. They have a chance to connect more closely than they've ever connected before with the corporate team. They have a chance to be up close and personal to elite leaders and other people of that caliber. They have a chance to experience firsthand the Gary Vaynerchuks of the world, right? And they walk away changed. And that change can be permanent if they then take that excitement and they put it into some type of an action plan. Now, some of you are going to say, oh, great. I wish I would have heard this 3 months ago and I still could have upsold Summit, got people to spend the money, got people to make a commitment. If they sleep in the bathtub, on the floor, in the closet, wherever we fill a room full of people, they sleep in the park as a homeless person, whatever it is, to get people to that event, but I didn't hear it till now, and Summit's only 2 weeks away. The beauty with Beachbody is this. The past 2 years, Beachbody has live streamed the opening session on Thursday night and the closing session on Saturday night. So you still have an opportunity to reach out to your team and individuals that are on the fence about coaching or not coaching and invite them to participate in Summit. And those live streams are the next best thing to being there. In my opinion, it's all good content, but in my opinion, the Thursday night general session, opening session, and the Saturday night closing session are the 2 most important 2-hour segments, the most important 4 hours total of the entire experience. Because on Thursday night, they're going to hear what Carl sees as the future. They're going to hear what Jeff Hill sees as the future. They're going to witness the introduction of new products. They're going to hear the sneak peek of the product that will be launched. Typically, they launch something in October at Leadership and something else in December leading into the new year. And then on the closing session, they get to be inspired by the 8 most compelling physical transformation stories over the last 12 months. Now, if you took your opportunity to vote, you saw that I think every person that is a finalist had close to or more than 100 pounds lost in some powerful, powerful stories. What does that do? It reinforces why we are in this company and in this culture. It reinforces what our mission is. It reinforces the possibilities. It reminds us that these programs do work. So I strongly encourage you, if you're not going to be there live and in person, if your team's not going to be there live and in person, then download the app, connect to the live streaming link, and get as many members of your team as possible to connect to those live streaming links. If you have team close to you, make it a party. If you don't have team close to you, encourage, maybe you get on a Zoom call like this a few minutes before that event, that live stream happens, and everybody knows that everybody else is there. It becomes an accountability experience, and now you've got 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 or 20, depending on the size of your team. You've got all those people plugged into Summit. And some of you are going to say, well, some of my team already has plans on those days. I know that I've already talked to them about it. We'll talk to them again. Remind them that most other obligations they have can be changed if they are seriously committed to being a Beachbody coach that has an impact in humanity. Now, there's some things that can't be changed. If the boss won't let you off, obviously you can't change it. If it's a wedding anniversary and you've already got commitments, obviously you're not going to change it. If your daughter or son is in some type of event that they've been planning for some time, you don't want to change it. But if it's something that's like, well, you know, typically on Thursday night, I meet up with my buddies for this. Well, guess what? Call in sick. Get to that event. But for those who, no matter what, cannot get to that summit experience, whether it be live or streaming, on or around the 6th of August is Super Saturday. Either Friday night or Saturday or Sunday, there's a Super Saturday, probably at a location near you or near your coaches. Start promoting Super Saturday now. In my opinion, the Super Saturday immediately following Summit is the most impactful event of the year for coaches who don't get to Summit live. Why? Because they get to hear from people who were there. They get to see the video and hear the announcements about the new products and the success stories and all that kind of stuff in video. So they get kind of a connected but disconnected experience, a Paul Harvey version, the rest of the story, a Reader Digest version of the Summit experience. And then I would strongly suggest that you start thinking now about how you can take the excitement that participation is going to stir up and turn it into productivity that turns into momentum for your team. What do I mean by that? I mean this. I mean that you announce to your team that there's a special call on Sunday night, August the 7th. And on that special call on Sunday night or Monday night or whenever you want it to be, you are going to announce a special incentive, and you announce some type of a fun little incentive that exists within your team to take the excitement and the energy and the enthusiasm that has been generated from Summit and from Super Saturday, and gives them a place to channel that excitement into momentum, into productivity. And you can make that little incentive a 30-day incentive or a 60-day incentive or a 90-day incentive, not more than 90 days. But here's something, side note. You might want to write this on the side margin of your notebook. Or if you're just taking going to listen to this later, just turn your computer like this so that it's a side note, right? I'm just being cheeky. Write a side note, and the side note is the momentum I build now, August, September, October, is going to reward me on a greater level January, February, March of 2017. So you'll see a reward for your efforts August, September, October, but you're going to see a bigger reward for that effort in January, February, March. So, and it doesn't have to be this grandiose plan. It could be, it could be a push that everybody gets one. And you go for a one-a-week new customer push, or everybody gets one, everybody in the team gets one new coach and you double your team. Or, everybody does, they take a look at their July personal volume, and everybody does 200 points more in July or in August than they did in July. You can create any kind of an incentive around that is fueled by the excitement of that Summit Super Saturday experience. That's where you get the greatest amount of leverage from an event like Summit, because here's what's normally going to happen. One of the folks, where did she go? The young lady who had her hair in a towel. the towel girl talked about she's more excited about
I'm right here. I just took my towel off.
Oh, she disappeared. She's right in front of me now. Kristen mentioned that she's excited about having 3 days off work. Absolutely, right? And a lot of people are in that space. But most of us who've not have been in this environment for very long or in a leadership role for very long, we get all excited about it, but by the end of the week, we go back into that same routine. And because we missed a couple of days of work, now we have to work harder to make up for the days that we missed. And next thing you know, we've kind of missed an opportunity. So be thinking now about how you can leverage that time and that energy that comes from a Summit Super Saturday kind of experience. Anybody who knows me, and there's a few here who do, I do not miss an opportunity to get on my soapbox and preach inner game. So what I want you to do is I want you to take a pulse right now, and I want you to think what kind of thoughts have been stirring in your mind when this crazy dude with the white hat with the little golf ball display in the back behind him on the wall is telling me I need to seize the momentum associated with Summit and Super Saturday. What kind of thoughts are popping into your mind? Are they, oh my gosh, I never thought of that thoughts? And there's got all these thoughts popping into your head? Or are they, oh geez, not one more thing? Yeah, but I can't. Yeah, but, and excuses start popping into your mind. Either excitement and ideas or excuses are popping into your brain. That much I promise you. Your brain is not idle unless I've bored you to death and you're asleep. So I'm going to strongly suggest that if your mind is popping with ideas, if I were to have a one-on-one conversation with you, I'm pretty sure you're probably working on your inner game. What's your inner game? It's the space between your ears. You're probably doing something on a daily basis that is rewiring that thought process. That's where the positive energy comes from. If uncertainty and doubt and excuses are popping in there, I'm pretty sure that 9 out of 10 times you're not working on your inner game. And I'm going to invite you to write yourself a note. I'm going to work on my inner game. I'm going to work on my inner game for the next 7 days so that 7 days from now, my mind's in the right place, that I can start promoting people to get on the live video stream, the live streaming of Summit, and I can start promoting people to get to Super Saturday. Yeah, but I live 3 hours from the nearest Super Saturday. Then do one of your own. Yeah, but my coaches are all over the country. Then get on the computer. And this usually happens even more after Summit than before Summit. Figure out where the event is closest to your coach and tell them, hey, here's the event, here's where you need to go. Spend a little bit of time taking excuses away so that they can get to that event. I promise you, it will impact your business. There's a coach on our team who set up an incentive. And the incentive is everybody who can show me in advance of their Super Saturday, confirmation of registration for Super Saturday, their name's going to go into a drawing and we're going to pull out 3 winners for XYZ. I'm not sure what they're giving away, but they're incentivizing people to get to Super Saturday because of its impact. You can do the same thing with the video live. And if you're there at Summit, don't be tempted to say, oh, I'm just going to hang out. You know, there's a lot of good country music and jazz and all that kind of stuff going on Broadway on a Thursday night. I'm not going to go to the Beachbody's live event. You'll see several hundred coaches that do that. They go to Summit for the party time and not for the growth time, but go for the purpose of learning and growing. But when it comes to inner game, here's a few things. If you're struggling with that part of your life, first of all, you need to revisit why you made a decision to be a Beachbody coach. Not just revisit the words, revisit the emotion. You made an emotional decision at some point in time in your recent or distant past to become a Beachbody coach. What was the emotional decision you made? Reconnect with that emotional decision. And how do you do that? You spend time with it every single day. You take a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and you meditate, if you will, on the experience that you envision having. For example, did you get into this because you want to help people look and feel better? What does that feel like for them? Pick somebody that you know in your life that you have helped or you want to help. Imagine where their life is now. Imagine where their life is when they've reached their fitness goals. Imagine what you want that to be and live in that space. If your why is related to making a significant change in your financial situation, then imagine what your life is going to be like when that significant change happens. Feel it in advance of it happening. That's inner game. Work in that space. Chase out the doubting parts and replace it with the make it happen parts. It's okay to doubt. It's okay to acknowledge that I'm uncertain, but uncertainty will be washed out when you work on the inner game. Guys, I'm going to tell you, 80% of success in this business goes on between our ears. But we let the other 20% of this business dictate where we are in the business. I promise you, if your inner game's right, then talking to other people becomes easier. It's not always. You've got to get over that hurdle, but the inner game pushes us over the hurdle. Well, and some people might think that everything's motivational. No, if you have a hard time talking to people, your inner game work needs to be, where can I learn how to create conversation? If you're a big social media person, but you're not quite sure how to leverage it, then you should be studying inner game. How do I become better at this? You need to invest in yourself, in your inner game, in order to show results in your outer activity. Okay? But the main focus of what I wanted to cover tonight was, we still have time. We still have 2+ weeks of leveraging the summit excitement and turn it into productive momentum. We still have 3+ weeks to leverage the Super Saturday experience and turn it into productive momentum. And we're only limited by our own creativity. But the other thing I want to make sure that you please do not do. Do not compare yourself to some of those coaches that have very, very creative minds. Oh, I really stink at this. Look at so-and-so. She's done this. He's done that. They've done this. Forget that crap. That's all inner game negativity. If you're working on your inner game, you can say, wow, that's a really cool idea. How can I make it work in my space? But let it be you. One of the biggest challenges we face in today's world of social media is comparing ourselves to somebody else. Don't compare. Take a look at what they're doing. Celebrate their success. Ask yourself, are some of their ideas something that would serve the culture of my team? If they are, then figure out how to implement a similar idea that fits you. And let the rest of it go. That's the last comment I'll make, because I won't have a chance to talk to you all in a group again until I see you at the happy hour, is go into this summit experience open-minded with a desire to learn and be inspired. Don't go into the summit experience expecting that all the answers are going to be handed to you. And definitely do not come out of the summit experience comparing yourself to somebody else and say, man, I don't do very well in this business because look at all they did in less time. That is negative energy that does not serve you. It is polluting the inner game. Learn and grow from the inspiration. Don't be drugged down and held back by what is typical, what most of us do, and that's we compare instead of inspire. So there's enough said about that. Know this. Doesn't matter where you are today. It's where you want to be a year from now. And it doesn't matter where Beachbody wants you to be a year from now. It doesn't matter where Marissa wants you to be a year from now. It doesn't matter where Kevin wants you to be a year from now. What matters is where you want to be a year from now. And then you put a plan in place to make that happen. and you don't allow yourself to be blown off your path because somebody did it a little bit faster, a little bit flashier, a little bit more creative than you did. It doesn't matter. I'm a big golf fan. I was watching the women's U.S. golf championship last weekend, and this girl had an absolutely ugly, ugly, ugly shot. And the commentator said, the picture doesn't show up on the scorecard, only the number does. Right? So she parred the hole. It was an ugly par. Some people are going to say, man, she got lucky, but a 4 showed up on her scorecard. And that's the only thing people are going to remember is, oh, she parred that hole. Not, man, she got lucky. It bounced off the tree and rolled into the cup or whatever it was. It doesn't matter, right? You don't have to be as awesome at working out as Marissa is. Just work out. You don't have to be as awesome at working out as Autumn does. Just work out. I love that Kristen said, I finally got my workout in, right? She snuck it in between whatever it is I'm talking about and what comes next. But she got it in. Good job. Okay, guys? That's all I can say. And the other piece I want to tell you is I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure you guys understand how fortunate you are to be connected to a team that is on the move in a positive direction. Yes, Marissa is the founder of Team Aloha. She is the first person to raise her hand and say, I want to do this. And she has surrounded herself with other leaders who have surrounded themselves with members of their team who all say, I want to do this. I'm going to strongly encourage you guys to seriously consider the idea of locking arms and being an unstoppable group of women. I know there's a couple of guys who are on this team that might be listening later or might be dialed in now. And guys, it's okay to be locked arms with women on both sides of you because we both know they're smarter and stronger than we are. And go out there and decide that between now and the end of the year, you are going to do more than you've ever done before to make a difference in the lives of the people you know and the people you will meet. And if your focus will be on helping other people get what they want, you'll be shocked at where you are 6 months from now. But decide that you are going to lock arms. And when one of you is a little tired and the other two who have locked on each side have to drag her or him a little bit, then so be it. Be drug along and your toes are dragging in the concrete. But when you've got the energy, you step up and you drag the person next to you. Do not weary in this journey, knowing that you've got somebody on each elbow that's going to help you get to the next step. But be prepared to do your part too. Right now, as we converse, there are people in your life who don't know what you do, who are looking for exactly what you offer. And they may never know unless you tell them. Or they do know what you do because you've invited them multiple times in the last year to take a closer look. But let me give you a little news flash. Unless you open the door just a little bit so they can say, oh, gee, thanks, I'm ready now, 99% of them will never knock on the door and say, hey, Joanne, remember 6 months ago when I told you no about your challenge group, or I told you no about coaching? I'm ready to do it now. They're not going to do that. Their ego won't let them. You have to unlock the door. You have to open the door with just a little teeny crack. And what is that? It's a simple reach out. Hey, I've been thinking about you. How you doing? Open the door and give them an opportunity to say, are you still doing this? Most of us won't. But I'm going to say, do not give up on anybody you've invited to any part of the Beachbody experience until they have told you no at least 5 times. And Marissa says 10. And that's okay. That's your team culture. I said at least 5 times because most of us don't ever get to 3. Right? And if you need to, say, I was on a call the other day with this redheaded dude that said, if I don't hear no from you at least 5 times, then I'm supposed to keep bugging you. And most likely, you'll probably hear from me 10 times, however you want to put it. See, there's Toon saying, I'm going to go do this, right? So just a few little words of Kevin-isms before I turn this call back to Marissa, who's loving up on her dog. That's it for me, girl.
Well, does anybody have any questions for Kevin about what he just shared or anything? It doesn't have to be about what he talked about.
Okay, so I know that I could probably find this somewhere, but since you're here, so I didn't know that you could stream the opening night and then the closing night for Summit. So how do you get access to that so you can tell people?
If
Or
you
like what's the app that you were talking about?
Yeah, if you've downloaded the app, you should get a notice as to the link that is made available to that, right? If not, I would go into your online office, go to that little FAQ link, and type in live video stream Summit 2016 and see if they've posted anything yet. You're back on mute, young lady.
I said I have it, but I didn't pay attention. I didn't know that they would stream it because I've never been, so I didn't know.
Yeah, it's something that is not it's not utilized to the degree that it should, and but I think it's going to be more and more and more and more of that, where people realize that, you know, because there's a lot of folks that were originally planning on going to Summit that now, for whatever reason, can't go. Every one of those folks should be informed that that option is available to them. Now, I'm sure Beachbody doesn't advertise it a lot because some people are going to say, well, then I'm not going to go to Summit. But there's a lot of other opportunity and experience. You won't get Gary Vaynerchuk if you don't go to Summit because they won't stream that, right? And you won't get the workshops. You'll get some that they'll record and post later, but a fraction of the workshops will not be recorded and made available. So and then like Marissa said, there's the whole camaraderie, there's the whole team gathering. There's an opportunity for all of you who are on this Zoom chat, if you're going to Summit, to decide that you're going to find your way to the Rodizio Grill, 162 North 2nd Avenue, and hang out with us. You don't have to come and hang out for a couple of hours. Pop in, have a few healthy snacks and finger foods, and shake hands, kiss a few cheeks, and then make your way over to the stadium for the opening session of the event. It's not you don't have to be there for very long. Just come in and say hi and meet people. And I'm going to personally invite you guys to walk up and say, I was on that Zoom chat with Marissa's team when you were preaching so hard at getting people to Summit and Super Saturday. You know, and then you never know what happens. Shoot, I bumped into a young lady named Raina in the Nashville airport last year.
Yeah, Raina's gone. She's not coaching anymore.
Shame on her. I'm going to have to reach out and slap her around.
Yeah.
But, you know, that happens too. People discover it isn't their gig, and that's just some will, some won't. But I promise you this, the people who come in and participate, their life is always changed. Whenever you share information, it changes a person's life forever because it's always in their mind. If you shared fitness information and they decide to go contrary to that, every time they go contrary to that, they're still thinking about the positive information that you provided them. So you're giving them a bigger, better choice. If they never join you, you've put them in a place of making decisions. And a lot of people never had the information to be able to make a decision. So even the lives that come and go, you've impacted. You've impacted in a big, big way. So conversation is never wasted, ever. Never, ever, ever is conversation wasted. So there's another Raina on this call. Is she going to Summit? Is she going to do the stream? She doesn't like me putting her on the spot. And now she hangs up on me. No, there she goes. Somebody hung up, so you moved around from here to here. Guys, have fun with this. Don't take yourselves too serious. I have a tendency to get a little bit intense, but don't take yourself too serious, but have fun. Know that you're impacting lives in a big way, that you never know. I have friends in this business who are in this profession of network marketing who are third generation. Their grandfather or grandmother started their business. Their parents took over their business, and their parents willed the business to them. 3 generations of their lives have been impacted because of the opportunity of a healthier way of life. Not yet with Beachbody, because Beachbody isn't that old to have a 3-generation impact like that. But it's still, we have the opportunity to change generations to come in a very positive way. That's all I got.
Well, if nobody has any questions for Kevin, then we can adjourn this meeting? Adjourn? Is that the word for it or no?
I don't know. I just say it's over, guys. See you next week.
We can end this meeting. Joanne?
I just wanted to share my experience about going to events. First of all, my first successful trip was, I think that's the reason I'm here, because I was able to feel the energy, feel the passion, and feel what Beachbody was really about. I mean, the first time I wore a bikini in 18 years was around people with ripped abs, okay? I was not ripped. I had stretch marks. I never wore a bikini around my friends because people, and here I was on a Beachbody cruise, people of all sizes, don't get me wrong. Everybody's on a different part of their journey, but I had people, Marissa, people that have like ripped, and they don't look at you that way. The energy isn't like that. It's so different. And meanwhile, if you go to like a regular beach and you see someone with ripped abs and you just feel like you're being watched and looked or criticized. So that's what really, really convinced me that this is what I wanted to be part of. I didn't feel judged. Again, the first time in 18 years, I wore a bikini and felt comfortable, and no, my body was not ripped. Okay. So that's something, that's when I knew that's the thing about events, is that you can feel the passion. And if you go to an event and don't feel it, then it wasn't for you. But let me tell you, that's what happened to me with Beachbody. You had done a call before, Kevin, about how Carl's mission, he really believes in it. I felt it that time. I met Lindsay Matway. I remember Marissa, she stopped to talk to Marissa just because, and I talked to her, and she was so normal. She was so normal, and that was another thing. You think these people are so different. They're just like you and I, and we hear it and we see it on social media and this, that. But when you're actually, they may make a post that may make you relate to them a little bit, and you're like, oh, they are like us. But when you see them in person and you feel their passion and their genuineness, and you're like, oh my God, why can't I? Why can't I? So that's the biggest deal to me about events. So that's it.
Thank you for that. You're awesome.
Okay. Anybody
You guys have to meet Kevin Jensen in person.
For sure.
For sure. The guy has a way of like talking to you that you feel like you're in another world. And yeah, Kevin is like one of those people. But I mean, it's just, I'm with you, Joanne. Like, that was the first time we met, remember? The first summit. And since then, how long has it been? 3 years? We're like tight. You know what I mean? Like, we're like family.
And that was the first time you and Marissa met, right? As well?
Yes, and I was freaking out. And I was like, ah!
They walked into the hotel room. They went into my hotel room, and then Marissa's like, I'm tired. And Trish's like, I'm tired. They jumped into, they're just like best buddies, like, hey, so what are we going to do? And Marissa's all stressed out because she has to go on stage the next day. And she's like, oh my God. So they're like best friends. And it was like, it's hard to believe that you met for the first time. That,
yeah.
It's family. It really is.
Exactly. But I will miss everybody. Sorry.
Oh.
Get the stream, girl. Watch it live.
I will.
Cool.
Definitely.
And one other, Stephanie.
Thanks, Kevin.
Good to see you, Sharice.
I want to share my experience about Stephanie Kaufman. I had seen her online and stuff and had an idea of what I thought she was. I really didn't think I could relate to her. I thought she was great. She was awesome, blah, blah, blah. I met this girl, and she is more like me than I had ever thought. Like, I want to, like, it gives me chills. I was just like, wow, if I had not sat next to her at the Diamond lunch, whatever, and met her, come to Summit, I would have never known the real Stephanie, because there's only so much you can really see through social, you know what I'm saying? Like, first of all, I think maybe people that are actually following her can see it. But when us coaches, we're kind of doing our own thing, and we're so busy in our own little, like, we got to do our own social, our posts, whatever, and you kind of get glimpses of everybody else, but not necessarily the core sometimes. Well, even on the calls, I didn't really get the full effect of what Stephanie Kaufman was until I went to Summit. And I was like, wow, this girl's like incredible. Her heart, not forget the fact that she's a rock star. She cares. She's warm. She shed tears like me. And I'm like, cause I'm such a sob. Like, I cry for everything. And I'm like, I didn't think Stephanie Kaufman would be a crier. So I walked in, and we were like, oh my gosh, she gets it. Like, we both were like, so you just bond in such a different way. And then you really realize what an amazing team we have. Kevin said it right. You know, Marissa, it's incredible that Marissa had nobody to get this started. She got it started, and here we are. We've been all indirectly, we've been affected by Kevin, by Marissa. And we've all been, because Kevin mentored Marissa a lot. He's mentored me. He's kept me from like circling the drain, and every one of us. And when we see each other in person, it's different. It's so different. It's like we're family. I'm telling you, that's the only way I can explain it. So. Anyway, okay, I'm done.
And let's just give a shout out to John, who's sitting right next to Stephanie right now as they're driving down the road. There he is. Hey, John.
Yeah, and I got to meet John too. The spouses are incredible. That's another thing.
On the cruise, everybody got to meet. And I mean, it truly is like, that's why when I talk about Summit with you guys, and when I talked about, like, I can't portray that experience to you, how important it is for you to be there and to be with your team. For me, I really like the coach-led sessions because I feel like I get a lot of information from them. As far as like the opening general session and the ending closing session, for me, those aren't my favorite. I don't think they're the most important thing for me. Now, that being said, I see what Kevin's point is like, seeing the vision of where the company is going on Thursday makes sense for someone that hasn't been to Summit before. And this will be my fifth Summit, my fourth Summit. I can't remember. So for me, like, I really liked the information that I was getting from coaches that were in the trenches doing what we were doing. And those were the things that I was really drawn to. But as you all know, I'm very like black and white. Here's the facts. Like, not, so much about like, the touchy-feely, like, I'm getting that side more of me now. I have that side of me, but it's more about, so that was what attracted to me in the beginning. But last year, what I loved about Summit was not any of that. Like, I loved being in person with the team and the times that I got to spend with you guys, like, live. That was, I mean, I could have gone to nothing and I would have gotten an amazing experience just from being there, present, in person. And nobody is ever going to be able to give you that experience unless you actually go and experience it for yourself. So, like Kevin said, I thought he was going to say something like, if you're not going to make it to Summit this year, I thought he was going to say, plan to be there next year, but he said, go to Super Saturday. But I would add on to that, plan it right now to be there next year, because tickets will go on sale when we're at Summit. And they usually do like a deal. Like, I think they were $99 last year when we were there, and they go on sale when we're there. So pay your $99, commit to being here a year from now, commit to being there and being present with your team, and then stress the importance of that with your team, because it's not even about, it's amazing if you think about the fact that what Kevin said, and I remember Eric Worre very clearly saying, for every person that you get to your convention, your company's convention, it's $1,000 that you earn for every person that in your downline that goes to your company convention. If you want to be a $100,000 income a year earner, get 100 people in your downline to your annual convention. So you think about it like that, and that's what your income is going to increase over the next year. but that's not, I mean, that's amazing. And of course the income is amazing, but the experience of being there live with your team is priceless. I mean, you can't put a price tag on that. Like, you know, the income, yes, that will come because of the bonds that you build and the culture that you build within your team. So I'm happy that, you know, Kevin came on and talked about it because, you know, we have that relationship. So we have a very, very good relationship.
Can I say something real quick?
Sure.
Coming off mute. I wanted to, well, first of all, Joanne, geez, thank you. You almost made me cry. So I appreciate the shout out. But I actually agree with Marissa that the opening and closing ceremonies for me, they're as cool as they were. I just kind of want to like express, because I'm sure there's people like, oh, sweet, phew, well, I'll be there for the important things, streaming it live. In my opinion, it's not. To me, the best was the top coaches, you know, sharing their stuff like in the general session, but the top coaches doing their stuff and sharing their knowledge. That to me was like way up there, and I would have rather been, if I could only choose opening and closing ceremonies and the top coaches talking, I would hands down choose the top coaches talking, and that's the stuff that you're not going to be able to stream, and they don't always show on YouTube after the fact. But my favorite thing last year was actually, Kevin, your diamond luncheon. That was my favorite part of Summit. Because I'm a small group person, so I loved the intimacy of that, hearing some of the people on your team, their stories, where they came from, where they were going. That to me was inspiring. Like, I shared the one story of the girl who was like in the wheelchair, and she talked about how she was like hospitalized, and she turned like such a horrible situation into such a positive one, and like left the hospital with like half of the staff that helped her on her team. And like she was known as like the Shaco girl and like all this stuff. And I shared that story a lot because people often think they have to look a certain part, or they have to look like me or Marissa. And it's like, no, you don't. Like, this chick was like a 2-star, and I was just a fresh diamond at the time. Like, it doesn't matter. It's not what you look like. It's the heart that you have. And people just don't always see that. And that was really cool to hear in person. So those are like my favorite parts of Summit personally. And then like hanging out like in the condo. Like, I'm like floored that people go to Summit and like skip everything and party. I'm like, what? Seriously? Like, I'd rather go back to the condo and hang out with my team and like just go to the events and just be with my team. Like, I don't know. So it's a cool experience.
And I was sick last year, so I was so miserable because I got sick before we even left. So Joanne was my roommate, and I was just like, oh my God, this sucks. I was like doping up on meds, and I still had fun, but not as much fun as I'm going to have this year, being well. But you guys, it's just an incredible experience, not just for, you know, Beachbody, but for life. So definitely get it on your, you know, your bucket list. Go to Coach Summit. Go to Coach Summit, rah, rah, rah. Thank you guys for sharing. If you guys are open to it, anyone that did go last year to the team hangout, if you're open to sharing in the event page, like the Rodizio, like Joanne did, she did a little live video talking about that. That would be awesome for the people that are new, to see a live video in that event page about why it's so important to be at that event. So like Stephanie or Charisse, you guys are the only two really that were there last year. So even though I know you're not going to be there, Charisse, you can still make the video. Well, thank you so much, Kevin, for coming on the call. It's 9 o'clock, so and to honor everyone's time, we can say goodnight. Thanks, everybody, for being on, and I'll see you guys next week.
See you guys in Nashville. Bye-bye.
Real quick, guys, I'm going to post in the, I guess, the Limitless page, maybe. The first time I heard Kevin did another call for us earlier on that was extremely inspiring. I still have that call, Marissa. I'm going to post it so that you guys can listen to it as a PD one day. It's an incredible story, by the way. So.
Thank you, Joanne.
Thanks, you,
Joanne.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Good night. I recorded the call, so I'll be posting it later.